The Lakers are back. Talk to me.
Well, when you draft Lonzo Ball, creates shots for guys. So he can get inside that lane and make players better. And we've been missing that. And I tell you, the steal of the draft is going to be Kyle Kuzma. And so now, here we go. We're getting this young talent to go along with Brandon Ingram. I think Lopez is going to really help everybody on our team because he hit 134 threes last year. So he'll be able to spread the court. Now that big man has to come away from the basket. So now our drivers will be more effective. So I'm excited.
Yo, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to LA Divided NBA United. And we are back talking our teams here. Obviously focusing on the Lakers at this point. We're going to be talking about the 2017-2018 Los Angeles Lakers. All right, so before we get into this, obviously the reason why I picked the 2017-18 Lakers is because I wanted to show, when a team is going through a situation where they're in a rebuild and they've been in a rebuild for quite some time and you're ready for them to contend, you're ready for them to move forward. And that's what this 2017-2018 Lakers represented. They represented all of the pieces that we got for being, pretty much at the bottom of the Western Conference. And these were all players that were either in their second or third year, that were ascending or basically developing. Guys like Josh Hart, guys like Kyle Kuzma had just came in, Lonzo Ball. These were all, guys that were going into their second year. This was their first year, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sorry. This was Lonzo Ball's first year. So this is his rookie year. Along with, the other two players that I mentioned, Brandon Ingram. You have Julius Randle, who was drafted a few years before that. And so, like I said, this was a team that was stuck in flux, and we were just waiting on that one big star. And we got that big star in LeBron James the following offseason. But this particular season was interesting. Obviously, we did not make the playoffs. But it was about development, and it was about seeing, a team that can essentially ascend. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe Lonzo Ball missed time. He did not play all 82 games, and I believe that was one of the reasons why a lot of people didn't think the Lakers, made the playoffs because, Lonzo was obviously rounding into form towards the end of that year. And so we missed the playoffs, obviously, and LeBron comes, and then we essentially sell a lot of these assets off. And, when we look in retrospect, right, Jordan Clarkson is in Utah right now, balling. Kyle Kuzma is in Washington right now, balling. Julius Randle's in New York right now. He's not necessarily balling, but he took that team to the playoffs last year, was the most improved player, and was an NBA All-Star. So when I think and I look at this team as currently constructed, the Lakers, and I see what it's like to sell all of these assets off, right? And yes, we did get a championship in 2020. However, I almost feel like we would have been in a better place had we held on to those guys and continued to develop those guys. We could have been on our way to multiple championships, or at least multiple being a contender year in and year out. But instead, we opted to trade a lot of these guys for Anthony Davis. And essentially, that's what it led us to. So, like I said, to say that, this team, was a team that wasn't going to ascend without that big name star, We don't know. But I feel like, if you see the players that Brandon Ingram turned into, the players that Julius Randle turned into, these are two go-to guys. These are two guys that lead the respective teams that they're on. And then you have Lonzo, who's making a difference in Chicago, Caruso, who's making a difference in Chicago when he's on the floor. I just can't help but to think that if LeBron never comes after this year, the ascension is possibly Golden State like. It's Memphis like, where we can develop again, and we can, land Anthony Davis a few years down the line. I don't know. Maybe it's pipe dreaming. You tell me.
Well, I'm taking everything that you said in, and I'm just like listening to it, and it's almost a catch-22 situation, because you mentioned about all the players that you guys lost, which essentially you guys could have had on the team now. Would that have been with or without LeBron, though?
That would have had to be without LeBron, because you're
Okay.
looking at, in order to extend those players, Randall was up on his deal. They just let him walk,
Right.
So Randall was up on his deal. You would have had to re-sign him. You would have had to re-sign Ingram. So with the money that you would have essentially given LeBron to come, it went to those guys. It would have went to those guys.
So, okay. So with that being said, no doubt that the team could have possibly been at a better play than what they are right now. And this is just, once again, just based upon the Laker fan expectation of where the Lakers are right now. You would assume that they would be better if they still had all those players. But again, piggybacking off what you just said, I'm getting rid of all those players and trading them essentially for LeBron 2018. Y'all got a championship, though, 2 years later.
Yeah, well, I mean, we didn't trade those players for LeBron. They played. Remember, Lonzo played with LeBron. Brandon Ingram played with LeBron. Yeah. So
essentially getting rid of all of them, in the deals. I'm sorry, for
Anthony Davis, right? Yeah, to win a championship, right? Right. But and we talked about this a little bit offline, and I'll just ask you this, right? Like, when you look at how the Lakers have, under Dr. Buss, under the former Laker regime, and they're going to be coming out with a documentary pretty soon on HBO about the Lakers. I can't wait to watch it. And we'll get into the Showtime Lakers at some point too. But my question, to you would be, did you, when you saw the Lakers go after LeBron and then go after AD, did that seem like a normal Laker thing to you?
Yeah, because they were both superstars. And, me personally, I was kind of hoping that we would get LeBron, even though I knew it wouldn't happen. I would have wanted him on my team. Anthony Davis, I don't know. I'm for whatever reason, I'm real skeptic on AD. I don't know what it is. I'm just not all in on him as I would have been, as far as LeBron. But you know what? It was one of those things we already knew. Like, we already knew it was going to happen before it even happened. And just as you mentioned, as we were talking about it online or offline, it was essentially already in the works.
Well,
they
no,
just had to go
I know. I don't think it was in the works, or at least not the way it happened. And I think when you look at, when you look at what eventually allowed New Orleans to make the move to trade Anthony Davis, was them getting the number one pick and then getting the Lakers pick as well in that same draft, because the Lakers didn't make the playoffs. So essentially they were getting a lottery pick. And so New Orleans was able to draft Zion, along with, I think they got Jackson Hayes or somebody like that, with their other pick. And that essentially is what allowed the Lakers, to make that move, to send Josh Hart, to send Lonzo, to send Brandon Ingram, along with that draft pick, to New Orleans. So you wonder if the Lakers keep that draft pick, and I would have to look at that draft to see exactly who would have been slotted around that point in time. But I mean, you've heard, players like Paul George say he would have came to the Lakers. You know what I'm saying? You've heard other players that have said that they would have, come to the Lakers. But the reason why I asked you about if you noticed, what the Lakers patterns were when Dr. Buss and was essentially running the team, is it was we go get the best big man and we develop the other players around them.
Right.
So at the time, I'm thinking LeBron is the new version of the big man. And we developed Lonzo. We developed Jordan Clarkson. We developed all of these other younger stars around because, like I said, that the teams that when Shaq came in, he came in with a young Kobe Bryant. He came in with a young Derek Fisher. He came in with younger players around that squad that were all building up and growing with him. And then eventually, in order for them to win a championship, of course, they had to hold on to the players that completely developed. In that case, it would have been Kobe. And the same thing happened when Kareem showed up. He showed up a few years before the Lakers drafted Magic. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm thinking is the formula. That's what we do. So if AD was that next, quintessential big man, who was going to ride with him? Who was going to be that young star, that young talent that we brought in? Because we seemingly mortgaged our future in order to get this guy. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I said it wasn't very Laker-like to make the decision to go after two big free agents that had been well into their careers. And like you said, the thing that makes you nervous about Anthony Davis is the same thing that makes me nervous about Anthony Davis. And it's the fact that he can't stay on the court. He can't stay healthy. It seems like, it's Murphy's Law with this guy. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. He will trip up and somebody's going to roll over his ankle or his knee and he's going to be out 8 weeks. You know what I'm saying? And he's fragile and he's all of these different things. I'm sure you're going through the same situation with Kawhi. You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, we're going to take a chance on this guy. We're going to put all our eggs in a basket, but can he stay healthy? You know what I'm saying? Like, can you truly, put your faith into a guy that has not shown a track record, especially outside of that San Antonio organization, that he can stay healthy year in and year out? And so, that's where, like I say, thinking about it back in 2017, 2018, I thought the future was bright. I thought that, even though we got a championship out of it in 2020, my belief is that whether we had AD or we didn't, LeBron was supposed to be so great that we would have had that championship anyway, because then you would have had, like you said, Brandon Ingram was averaging 25, 26 points a game just a couple of years ago. And so, if you're swapping that with an AD, and Brandon Ingram has seemingly been more healthier than AD has. And so, and then you look at our point guard situation, we went from Rondo to, Schroeder. Well, I don't even count him. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was not, like he was one of those guys, he came in with the wrong attitude. He wanted to start, and he was primarily a backup. And that showed in his play. He didn't, and that's the thing about LeBron, right? Is like LeBron had the perfect opportunity, the perfect chance to mentor, mold, and shape a young guy like Lonzo, who is a defender first, a pass first guy, who does not want a lot of shots or a ton of shots, but is willing to work. You know what I'm saying? He could have had that opportunity to mentor Lonzo and really get him to where he needed to be. But he wanted to punt on that. He didn't want to deal with the young guys anymore. I remember a hashtag around that time was called "Fuck Them Kids." And they was talking about the Lakers kids. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody wanted to trade in and mortgage what we brought or what we got. And they wanted to trade it all in for the prize that was Anthony Davis. And so now we're dealing with that.
No, but you know what? I think you hit it on the head, and I'll just touch on this real quick, because you pretty much hit the nail on the head when you were talking about the Lakers' previous formula, with the player development and keeping those players on the team. And unfortunately, we know what LeBron do. He come in and clean house. So that is the key piece. That is the key difference from the Lakers past to the present, because as you said, Shaq came in and the players around him developed with him. And that wasn't the case with the current team and bringing in LeBron, because the players were gone and essentially went on to other teams and developed into the players that they are now.
Absolutely. And it's sad to see, you know.
Yeah.
But I do know that we always stay optimistic because we are a destination, you know.
Yeah.
But very much like, you know, with anything, I don't want Laker fans to end up being delusional Cowboy fans. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Which is potentially what could happen when you look at the NBA and where it's headed now, is because now these guys don't have to be stars from LA. You know what I'm saying? You think
Yeah.
about in Dallas, right? Like, most of those guys, of course, football is king in Texas and all of these different things, but all these guys are elsewhere in the offseason. They all in LA, Miami, whatever, right? But in this day
Mhm.
and age, you can pretty much be a star from anywhere you are. You know what I'm saying? Ja
Yeah.
Morant, case in point, when we talked about him. So now that you can kind of be, okay, well, I can have my homes in the off season where everybody else is at, and during the season, I'm going to get just as much exposure, just as much commercials and endorsements and as anything else. So now LA doesn't seem so appeasing, and I think that that's why a lot of guys, during that period where Kobe was kind of transitioning out and LeBron was coming in, right? We couldn't get a free agent to come to LA because there was
Right.
this big shadow of, you're going to have to fill Kobe's shoes when you get here. Okay.
Right.
And only LeBron, I'm telling you, only LeBron could have done it. Only LeBron could have dealt with, only a guy like LeBron, who's used to that kind of level of criticism, can still come out and perform at the level that he does.
Mhm.
And so I can understand, why people didn't want to deal with that. But now you have a situation where, Los Angeles is going to be in a pretty tight position going forward, because they're going to have to maneuver salaries and all of that. They don't have any cap space. They're paying 3 max guys now when you put in Westbrook. And so I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with all of that, but sure is fun watching it.
Yeah, and like you say, I mean, going back to what you said again earlier, I mean, that formula, the Lakers franchise have always had it. I don't see any problems that you guys are going to have. You'll never go that long without winning another championship. So, I mean, from a fan perspective on your end, I get what you're saying, but from where I sit as a Clipper fan, it's just, I already know that's not going to be, this is not going to be the end of it ever. I mean, you guys are going to get right back to where you were, and you'll be back talking shit again. Lakers this and Lakers that. That'll never happen.
Hey, knock on wood.
Knock on
This has
something.
been LA. Well, this has been LA Divided, NBA United. I'm your boy, Good Luck Chuck, with my man Ronnie J, and we are signing out.
Yes, sir.
I'm not gonna be here. 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 I'm not gonna be here.